Conservatives, as Mike mentioned, are meeting this weekend here in Washington at the Value Voters Summit. And obviously the Kavanaugh controversy and whether he will get on the court is a major topic. Let's discuss it now with Family Research Council President Tony Perkins. Tony, thanks for being here.
Brett, good to be with you.
Your thoughts on this and what's being talked about at your Voters Summit?
Well, as you said, this is front and center, this issue. In fact, when the Senate Majority Leader spoke this morning, it's where he said, reassuring conservatives that Brett Kavanaugh would be on the court. And for those that know Mitch McConnell, he's not a man that's given to exaggeration. When he says something like that, so definitive, that sends a very strong signal that he is moving forward. In fact, he said, despite the opposition, we're plowing forward and we're moving ahead.
Right. Now, what about the president's tweets today? The second one today, this morning, I have no doubt that if the attack on Dr. Ford was as bad as she says, charges would have been immediately filed with local law enforcement authorities by either her or her loving parents. I ask that she bring those filings forward so that we can learn date, time, and place. You heard Susan Collins earlier saying she was appalled by those tweets. Are you okay with them?
Well, actually, I've heard people ask the same question. What did the parents say? She had to have told her parents. Was there a police report filed? What information do we know? But more importantly, they go back to what the president also said, that, look, we can't allow this delay to last forever. I think, the vast majority think the Senate is handling this the right way in terms of allowing her to come forward, tell her side of the story, but not allow it to derail this nomination process, the confirmation process of Brett Kavanaugh. Look, this is a major issue to conservatives. In fact, when you go back to the 2016 election, this was one of the top issues that led conservatives to be supportive of Donald Trump. And it remains one of the top issues. So they're eager for this process to move forward. And I think if it goes into the election, it could backfire on Democrats, supercharging Republicans, reminding them what's at stake in the future.
But you're kind of definitively saying that Christine Blasey Ford is not telling the truth.
Well, I think they don't know. But, I mean, it's something that happened 36 years ago and has never been brought up since then until now. And the timing of this, I mean, look, Dianne Feinstein sitting on this for 6 weeks and then dropping it on the eve of the vote. Look, people see that and they question the integrity of this entire process. They know what's at stake. The left has been unable to convince the American people that their crazy ideas work, so they use the court to impose it on us. Abortion, the redefinition of marriage, immigration laws, the restriction of free speech. And so the left knows that if they can't control the court, they cannot impose their values on America. And the right gets that. And they're ready for the court to operate within the confines of the Constitution.
Take a listen to Congresswoman Eshoo, something else she said. She talked to this accuser.
At the end of the meeting, I said to her, I believe you. She's intelligent, she's soft-spoken, she, I believe, has an inner strength to her, and an hour and a half is a long period of time. I asked her many questions, and it was wrenching for her. There's no doubt about it.
Understanding the timing, understanding the politics, understanding all the context you just mentioned, what do you say to Democrats who say that 2 out of 3 sexual assault victims don't come forward when it happens, and that what if she is telling the truth? Is that disqualifying if that's the case?
Well, look, I'm not going to question the fact that maybe she went through some traumatic experience. In fact, it is a prevalent problem in our society today, the sexual abuse and assault. And so it may have happened, but was it Brett Kavanaugh? There was alcohol apparently involved. People were intoxicated. Do they really know? Do they remember the facts? It's been 36 years. I don't know. Can we decide that with he said, she said? Brett Kavanaugh, who has by all means led an exemplary life, says no, he did not do it. It was not him. So who do we believe at the end of the day? Again, you have to look at the factors and the circumstances. If this were a criminal case, you couldn't process or prosecute it because of the statute of limitations. There's reasons we have these limits because it's hard to prove facts. Yeah. Again, you look at the broader context here, and it looks very, very suspect.
You mentioned the 2016 evangelical voters, 80% for President Trump. Hillary Hillary Clinton 16%. The Washington Post had this on evangelicals. Evangelical leaders said if Kavanaugh failed to win confirmation, that could drive up turnout among Republican voters in November, when the party is defending its House majority and narrow edge in the Senate. But a collapse of the nomination would also direct finger-pointing at Senate leaders and derail a top priority for Trump, who's seeking to cement a conservative imprint on the court for decades. If this confirmation collapses, what happens to conservative voters in the midterm?
I don't think it collapses, first off, but I think I have a different view on that. I think what happens when you see how the left will do whatever they have to maintain control of the court so they can impose their values on America. I believe that the conservative voters, the evangelicals in particular, they understand that, they get it. I think they're going to remain committed in support of the president and his conservative agenda and his nomination of judges. I don't think that they walk away. I actually think they double down if the left blocks this nomination.
Tony, as always, thank you.
Brett, good to be with you.